repeated one today. So I don't know, Sanjay and Ashish, Ashutosh, especially, it would be like a repeated one for you, but that's fine. If you are okay with it, most welcome. Now, here we have seen earlier, to give a quick recap of what we have done in the earlier, that is day before yesterday. I think I have gone through with each one of you, and I explained the onion that we had discussed, the timeline and everything. Then I told you to go away and read some of the chapters which have been mentioned from Popper or Kuhn and everyone. However, before I can even summarize to all of you what exactly Karl Popper or Kuhn have to give it to us from his school, I thought I should be able to explain to you certain things which are called as the dichotomies. Now, now here you will see that if I come across into these schools, you will see that there are certain dichotomies which are present in front of us. This is the one. And before even I can, because when Popper was writing his book and he got his work published, and Kuhn came later on in 1967 and he published his work, these things were already kept in the domain of our world of research, and they had to discuss keeping these 8 or 10. In fact, here, I should go ahead and add the other two also, so that we are there. Eighth one is, okay, let me start off. The first one is the most important one, wherein you are able to see that yes, there is this differences between what you call it as subjective and objective part of it. Now that is where in the morning, as well as in the previous slot also, there was so much of discussions, and they were literally talking about asking me the questions on what do you mean by subject. I mean, these are very, very important part of the qualitative research also, and in order to understand them, we should be able to know what they are and in what manner these dichotomies are present, so that tomorrow when we are talking about the quantitative research or even the qualitative research, we are able to understand and know as to why these differences are coming in actually. Now here, the first one is subjective objective. The second one, which I give a lot of importance, is the experiences part of it. Third one is noumena and phenomena, which we will see, and we will be discussing in depth. And tomorrow again, if some of you can join me up either in the morning or in the evening session, then you will see that more discussions would be present on these differentiation. The fourth one is between the mind and brain, or the body, is what we are looking forward to understand what kind of dichotomies are there. Then I'm also looking for the differences between deduction and induction, and in here comes in a lot of discussions about what truth is, what is reality, how the appearances are there, how to tackle those questions, number one. Number two, from the logical perspective or the critical thinking perspective also, one has to understand what these are all about. The next one, this is the fifth. Sixth one is what I call the differences between a priori and a posteriori. Now this is also something that we need to understand into depth, and go ahead and find it out as to how we are in our research realms are talking about these terms and how to deal with them. Similarly, seventh one is what I call it as the universals and the particulars, where the differences are coming in, and these are important for the sake of arriving at an appropriate knowledge, and how the different schools of the research are talking and tackling about these kind of problems also. Now these dichotomies are nothing but the problems that we face. However, we should know beforehand only as to these would be experienced, and we are going to tackle them. The eighth one is what you call it as the reality, and I'll be showcasing to you how to understand them. Ninth one is where I talk about the differences between whole and parts. Now, this is also the major thing that comes into the picture, and we do not know how to understand it and how to tackle it. Now, similarly, the 10th one that I will be discussing upon here would be the differences between what you call it as appearance and reality. So, why I'll tell you these differences are coming in, so that you are able to understand them. As I'm writing it down, it is the appearance and reality, in the sense that why do you want to do the research? First of all, you are doing the research in order to understand what is my reality and how to achieve to be as close as possible to this reality, and how do you get it, to how do you arrive at to this particular reality, and what in what manner are you going to think about it, is the ultimate crux of your research part only, and we need to go ahead and dwell into the depth. So here comes in the first and foremost, so here comes the 10th one. And 11th one we talk about is the difficulties or the barriers in the language. When I'm talking about, let's say, a language and the verbal or the non-verbal part of the experiences that we are talking about. So I can write it down here somewhere rather than over there. 11th one is the verbal language part on the one side, and on the other side the difficulties of what you call it as non-verbal languages. Now, how do you, even saying non-verbal languages becomes very difficult, so we are supposed to know how to know them side by side in our research area. So these are some of the ones that I really wanted to discuss when we are before entering into the realm of the qualitative research, so that we know our own weaknesses, number one, or to go ahead and design our approaches or the practices that we are going to do and put them into our research notes or the journal in which you are going to write it down and keep it for yourself. Day one onwards, you will have to make it up, all these things absolutely clear. Now, if we are, you will lose the recent changes. No, I don't want it to be changes. No, no, this will become difficult. Now, how do I save it like this directly? Okay, here's the button that I can save it. Okay, now letting your ink dry, let it just go away. Then I'll just save it out here. Now, this one will be for my subject. So let it dry basically, and then I'll take you to the next slide, wherein you will be seeing the differences between subjective and in the objective part of it, number one. Number two, before I can even enter, I was explaining to, I would say, one of the participants that she really wanted me to let her know what are objects and what are the subjects that we are talking about. I hope I have the slide out here. Yes. Now, let us first of all understand what is a subject. A subject, in simple terms, to put it out, is nothing, however, an individual which is existing in front of us, number one. Number two, we will say that the subject has a body. Okay, sense organs are there, culture, because these are all the things that you require it for your own research sake. So we have got the sense experience, culture, education, family background is conscious, awareness is there, healthy brain is also existing out here. So if this is the individual that I'm talking about, this individual also exists in the given environment, number one. Number two, you can also see that, okay, that there are certain things which are happening within, not just the outside world where the objects are existing in that manner. However, there are certain things which takes place within the body of this subject also side by side. So you should be able to understand that yes, these are there, number one. Number two, as the word indicates subject, so we have two words here. One side is the subject, sub, and on the other hand, we have got this ject. Ject means a path, basically. So here you will see what kind of paths are we talking about. We are talking about the paths which are drawn within the body of that particular subject which is there in the world, basically. So here, when we talk about them, this subject goes through what we call it as the experiences. These experiences are, one way you can divide them and say that one of them is what you call it as the sensory experiences, which are pure sensory experiences with the help of the sense organs which are present in that particular individual. The second one is the non-sensory experiences, where you do not use the sense organs at all, and you are entering into what you call it as an abstract world. Basically, here you don't have any language, no language out here. It is pure sensory experiences based upon the sense organ, whereas here it is abstract notions that we are talking about. We are talking about numbers, we are talking about concepts, we are talking about theories, we are talking about what you call it as the models, and then the testing part of it, etc., etc., etc. So we are not in the realm of sensory experiences at all. So here we can say that the subject is a person who is able to experience both sensory ones as well as the non-sensory experiences also. So given this scenario, if this is the scenario, that what is a object, what is an object in front of us. So here I have already saved it for us. Object is something which is present externally in the given environment. It exists in space and in a particular time out here. It is always necessary that the object is present in the external world. Now, here comes the subject. Subject is also present in that external world. However, it is different from the object. Sometimes it is always these differences are existing between the subject and the object. Now, the so what happens to that object? Now, here comes in the another way to understand the object, and that is what object which is present externally can be understood in two ways. Either it is the subject which looks at the object. I'm using the word looks. So here it is the subject which goes about and starts looking at the external world for this particular object. So here it is just the one way interaction which is taking place. Not even the interaction, I would say just one way. And that's why we say the path of the individual, the path of the individual which becomes the subject. The subject which is experiencing the object which is existing in the real world. Now, this is one way to understand the object. The second way to understand the object is that the subject is absolutely calm and quiet. Nothing happens within the subject. However, it is the object which is giving certain information to the subject. Now, some of you who were present in this particular discussion, which I was doing it with the participants of the earlier slot. Now, before I can go ahead with this, I want to explain what kind of things are available for us before I can go ahead and discuss more about the subject and the object which are there in the world. Now here you will see the first dichotomy that we are looking forward is basically the way I am going to think or look at the relationship which is existing between the subject and the objects. Now here you will see the first scenario. As I said, object is the subject is present. Number one, the let me just take out the pen also so that it becomes easier for me to explain. Now here you will see that the subject is present. Number one. Number two, the entire background of that person is also available to us. And we consider that, yes, these are the things which are available in this person, and it should not be devoid of that. If that is so, as I explained just now, it is the subject which is going to observe the object which is present in the external world. So this is the external world which is there, and the object is present, and the subject is able to see it through observations, and there are various ways in which something is happening between the subject and the object. And you will see in my next slide what these things are taking place between them, and how these dichotomy between the subject and the object is going to be taken away completely. How that takes place, that also we will be seeing it. However, first of all, we need to understand that yes, this kind of a difference is there between the subject and the object. Second is that when the subject is there, it's fine. Now the object is also there, as I just explained to you. Now the subject is not going to talk anything. It is basically what I mean to say is not talking out here. It means that it is no observations are taken care from the side of the subject. It is basically the object which gives the information to the subject. So this is also another way of looking at the reality. See, ultimately, I need to understand, given the reality on one side, the subject on the other side, and the object on the other side, how the reality is being seen, and how close the subject and these objects come together, so that that kind of a dichotomy is taken away, and then there is that identity which is achieved between the subject and the object. That is my main intention out here. In the third case, which is totally a different kind of a scenario, and have a look. Subject is here, object is also here. Okay, and how do I get the knowledge? It's not direct knowledge. It is coming as an indirect knowledge for me. And how that indirect knowledge is coming? The subject is there. There is somebody else in whose presence the knowledge will be acquired about this object which is existing in the given environment. So here it is not from the object that I'll be getting the information. I'm getting the knowledge from these present third party. It can be a book, it can be a research paper, it can be an artifact, it can be a movie, it can be a person, an expert, a teacher, a peer, whosoever they are. Now it is through them we are able to get the knowledge, and we say that yes, this is the knowledge that is being arrived at, and I'm able to understand the object which is present in the world for me. Now, the fourth scenario, which is a very complicated one, and that's what I was trying to explain out here, that yes, the subject is also there, the object is also there, and there is a kind of interplay which is taking place between the subject and the object. Now, this interplay is a very, I would say, very complicated one, and that's I prefer not to touch this one at all, because there are various levels in which the interplay is taking place. However, sometimes it is the case that subject can become the object, object can become the subject, vice versa, and the realities are also existing, and we have to understand even from this perspective also side by side. Now this is one kind of thing that we have got regarding the subject and the object part of it. Now, after that, we have also got some other ways in which the dichotomies are occurring. So, I'll be showcasing it right now. One more scenario which you can see it, and that is, I have to just go ahead and reduce it to this side, and maybe I'll be able to get it. Okay, if this is done, then I can go ahead and look at this one is done. This also I have. Okay, first is the subjective and objective one. Now let me see if I'm able to get one more thing. And here I was just explaining to them, and I explained to you also what exactly the subject is: universals and particulars. Now, no, I won't touch this first. Let me go back to another slide which I have to explain to you, and then I'll be coming back to this one. Subjects and objects we have done. This also I'll have to come later. The next one that you will have to understand is the differences between noumena and the phenomena that is present in the research domain again. Now here I just introduced to you that yes, the subject is there, and this subject, goes through certain sensory experiences. So let us understand what kind of sensory experiences are being taken place out here. So here you will look into it, and you will see that the subject which is present out here, okay, now I can give you a hands-on experience for it. Basically, let me take up object. I think this is too light. Let me pick up this thing. Now just observe the manner I am drawing certain things in front of you. I would say that I am staying in this kind of a house. Okay, this is my house that I have done, and I'm showcasing to you like this, and you are observing the way I have taken care of this particular house. What you will say, ma'am, this is your first, this is your second, this is your third, this was fourth, this was five, this is sixth, and you are developing the house in this way. You're drawing and you're sharing it as. Now, when you have actually seen, you see this one first, then you saw this one as the second, this one was your third part, this one turned out to be the next line, then this line, then this line. So what am I trying to do? These are your sensory experiences, and you were able to see with your own eyes. Now this is where you were, and this is what we call it as pure sensory experience. Now, why we have to discuss this? Discussion of this is because when you go into the field, okay, for example, when you're doing the mixed methodology or phenomenological thing, when you are performing that kind of a, conducting that kind of a research, you are taking care of this level at the first part. Now, at this level, when you do it, are you able to capture the information in one go? No. So you require repeated kind of things which are taking place one after the other. Okay, now this one you do it till the time you are saturated, and that's why I have drawn these lines showing that yes, there are number of pure sense experiences that is being experienced. Okay, And that level, you say that we are at noumena level. That's why we have observation 1, observation 2, observation 3, observation 4, so and so forth, till you can go, I don't know how many observations you can do, till the time you're saturated. Once you're saturated, something happens to you, and then immediately, one fine day, I ask you, okay, now are you okay with this one? You will say, yes, ma'am, I have already know what you're doing. So the moment the memory starts working, now you are talking to me. And when you start speaking to me about it, at that time comes in the concept, the development or the building of the concepts which takes place one after the other. So you have the concept building, concept development, concepts in place. And once these are being taken care of, you jump into the theory building, theory development, and then you have the set forth of your theories in front of you. Then you say, ki, okay, this level is done for me. I'll now proceed to the level of the models. So you can come up and you will say, now, what is happening at this level? You have moved from the pure sense experiencing level to the level of what you call it in this field as phenomena. Popper and Kuhn in their books, they discuss a lot about noumena and phenomena, and that's why you use the word even in your writings sometimes as phenomenon. Now it is not just like that the word has come into the existence. It is because of these things that are happening in the research domain, and they have been discussed, and that's why you are talking about the words such as phenomenon out here basically. Okay, so this particular dichotomy is also really important for us, and we are supposed to know them fully as to what exactly is taking place and how the things are working for us in this realm basically. And once you have completed with this, then let this one dry, then I can just proceed further for the next one. And from here, you would be going ahead with another topic completely. And let me show it to you that also side by side. Okay, we can go from here. No, maybe I have made the changes for a different one altogether. Maybe yes, this might be helpful for me. So here, this I have explained. Subject we have seen this also. This one has to be done, this has to be taken care of. Now I was explaining to somebody, they were asking me to show it. Okay, let me go to the other slide, complete with that, and then I will come back. Now here, these are the levels of the noumena, and I was explaining to them how this particular thing is useful in your qualitative research. Reason, you are entering into, let's say, there is this team which has been selected, and you go one fine day to the field. What do? You come back and you say कि हाँ आज मैंने ऐसे ही ना घूम के ना देख के आ गया हूँ. I have just seen few things and I have come back. So this is your first day observations that you have done. Second day you go and you are again looking at certain things like a child. You look at the whole thing as a child and in a very naive manner without thinking about it. You see it, you make the observations, and you come back. In your third field visit, you still go, you see the new thing, and you're curious to know more about it, and you do, and you come back. Now, in the same manner, if you remember, I have told you in one of the sessions that minimum number of the field work that you do it is 50. That is nearly 30 and 20 days, which is approximately 1.5 months, 1 month, 20 days that you are taking care of this. During these 20, one and a half, the whole thing that you have got, you are making up like a child, making your observations, seeing, and then you document it in your notebook completely. However, when you are doing these kind of an observations, you start even the coding in Atlas TI, NVivo, or even MaxQDA. So depending upon your observations, your codes are generated nicely, and then you go it. If you do it in a very quick manner, then we can come to know what's wrong with the coding and how you have done, and then you will start manipulating it. Therefore, these kind of things have to be introduced before we even start off with the qualitative research work. So that's what I wanted to make it clear this thing. Now, after this, there was this dichotomy between mind and brain. Sense organs, fine, we are taking care of it. Then came in certain people who said that apart from sense organs, we should give importance to the identity which is there between mind and brain. Whatever the brain is telling to us is nothing but the mind, and whatever we say about mind, it is nothing but the brain. So they are equalizing these two things. However, there are certain researchers who would say, no, there is a complete, they are not identical to each other, they are completely separated one. So mind is different from the brain. Then we have got another school which says, no, sense organs are also playing a part, you have a brain also, then the mind is also existing. Then the other school says, no, there are differences between mind, brain, and the sense organ experiences. You need to take care of it. However, there are people who come to the other side and they say that if you want to understand, you have to treat it like a summation property, like a function, wherein we have got mind also, brain also, and sense experiences through the sense organ. And then there are certain things which is happening to the world of the observation, and then we can carry forward. Now, this is as per the Western schools. However, if you come to the Eastern schools of our research, you will see apart from sense organs, brain, and mind, they are also talking about self. Your self is nothing but the subject that is present for us. So there are people who will talk about the self. Then there are individuals who will be talking about not just mind, brain, and sense organ. However, they will introduce souls also. Then comes awareness, soul, mind, brain, then sense organs. Then the consciousness is there. And sometimes, because we have got those theists also present who believe in the existence of the God, they introduce the concept of God. Now, if you believe me or not, there are people who say that Einstein, when he has given us the formula E equals to mc square, and he identified it with nothing but the God itself in Einstein's terms. So, this is certain things. If you read Roger Penrose's book, The Emperor's Mind, or you can even go ahead and read the second book that he has written, Gödel's Proof. And he says that, yes, I have got the proof for the existence of the God also in that book. So, here comes in another way of the dichotomy that is existing, which creates problems for our research also side by side, and then we will have a look at it. Then apart from this, I have explained to you what the subjects and this thing are there. Noumena, phenomena also we have understood. Then is the differences between a priori and a posteriori. Now here you will see that a posteriori says experiences, pure experiences are necessary. After the pure experiences, we are talking about the realities, and it is necessary for me to do the research only if I get the looking at the experiences. Opposite to this, because we have a lot of problems with the language and everything, a priori school individuals say that there is nothing called as experiences, we can understand everything without even experience. So they talk about in terms of before the experience part of it. So for them the reality is very different, and from here they say that experiences takes me to the final reality, and we need to look into this aspect also side by side. This we have already done, and tomorrow again I would be explaining on these things more and more. So we will, I think there is two more things that I have to discuss. Priori, I have done. Noumena, phenomena, also I have done. Four kinds of subject, objective, mind, and brain we have checked out. Sense experiences and phenomena, that is noumena and phenomena. And then we have got exactly what the noumena means and what is happening at this level. After that, we have also understood the differences between subject and object and how the things are taking place in that realm. Then we came across with the phenomena, how the phenomena are taking place, and can we get enough of the summations to understand the development and the building of the concepts and the theories which are existing for us. Then the reality. Now, reality is very, very different, and we have to understand it. Now, what is reality? The objects which are existing in the world. There's so many objects which are present. Does that mean that I have the knowledge about all these objects of the world which are there? No. So how do I understand the reality? That is the basic question that they wanted to find out here. So here, when we are talking about the reality of those objects which are present and whose knowledge we are taking it up, they say that the schools come in into different picture. One school says ki, yes, there is exactly one school, one reality, as opposite to the school which says that no, there are multiple realities which are existing for us. Still there are certain other realities which will be saying that no, so reality is always uncertain. It does not depend upon you, that who are saying that yes, there is a single reality or the multiple realities. They say that it's totally uncertain, and let us find out about them. So the critical realist who would be falling in out here, we will see how to understand them. So on one side, we have, as Popper says, falsification principle, and Kuhn says there are paradigm shifts for these particular knowledge that we gain in order to understand the reality. Though there are other people who will come in between and they will say, no, it is not like this. So we take some help from the Popperian school, some help we will take it from Kuhnian school also, to understand how to carry forward with the next kind of the uncertain reality that is existing. So here are certain things that were discussed over there, and you yourself was present out here, I would say, as I was discussing with the other people. Now, there was this question that was asked, how would you differentiate between noumena, brain, and mind? So I told them that, see, as I'm drawing this particular object, you are looking at it from different perspectives, from the first step till the last step when I have drawn this particular object. So what are you doing basically? You are seeing it continuously one after the other. So you are at what you call it as pure sense experiences. These turn out to be the noumena, and purely seen with the help of the sense organs. Once you have completed, there is something working of the memory which starts work off. Okay, Ramani drew this particular line, and the memory is working. You say the brain starts working in that manner. So you are moving away from the domain of sense organ. You have moved to the brain level. And after a few days, you will see that you are going ahead. Either you will say that these two are same and there is no differentiation, or you will say no, the brain, the way it operates, you are able to see only this thing. However, it is due to the mind that you are able to see certain other things which cannot be possible with the brain part of it. So here the question arises, and so I had shown them how the levels of noumena, phenomena, where you're talking about the moment the memory functions, you are at the phenomena level. So the brain, and then comes the mind. So here I have just showcased to them how to differentiate between sense organs, brain, and the way the mind is working. This I have discussed a lot, And these are the ways in which the doubts were being raised out in order to understand how the subject and objects are interacting. And I was just showing to them that yes, you can have different scenarios. It was nothing but that's scenarios wherein I said that in one case it is the subject which is seeing the entirely the object. In other case it is the object which is giving away the information to the subject. And in other cases you will see that in some form of the schools of the qualitative, it is the interplay between both the subject and the object that is present over there. So this is what I was trying to tell them and carry forward. This is already we have done, so I don't have to worry about it now. I have explained it. Now, a subject we have done, object. Now, when we go to Popper's school, you will see that there is a lot of things that he talks about between the universals and the particulars. The story goes like this, that in historically, it's not a fictional story. For 10,000, for almost 20 years or 10 years, this Popper writes in his book that Eurasians went over and they saw more than 10,000 swans, and it was felt that all swans were white in color. And one fine day, there was somebody who saw in Australasian country that yes, there was something called as black swan. So what happened to this universal statement that was done? They reduced it to what you call it as a particular statement. And they say that depending upon that one swan, the entire universality of this particular statement, or the generalized statement that all swans are what are white, collapsed into some swans are white. So this kind of a debate is always taking place between the universals and the particulars from time to time. So, this dichotomy also had to be handled in a very nice manner before we could even think about certain things also. So, this is how I should say that the dichotomies are existing. Now, I think it's been a long time for all of us. So, Mayank, if you don't mind, I would be continuing from here tomorrow in the night, starting at 10:30 till 12:30 tomorrow, and we can go ahead and we can discuss little bit of about what Popper has to explain to us in his book now. Now here you will see that I have to give you a collapsed or a very lucid kind of a summary of his book, conjectures and refutations, as well as the logic of scientific discovery. Here you will find that Popper, says that scientific knowledge which is there, it has to be done at that very moment. You cannot go ahead and say that yes, I don't have this thing or that thing and I will not be doing it. No, whatever is available to you at that moment, please go ahead with that. That's what he says. Then he talks about the differences between inductive and deductive reasoning. And what is the differences? Now you have understood what observations are. Now, through the patterns of the observations, he says that before you can jump to proposing the hypotheses, you have to understand that there are certain patterns that you need to recognize within the data or the environment that is present. After that, go ahead and propose your hypothesis, and from here you can give your theory, and that's your conclusion. Simple. You cannot do anything more. However, he says if you are going for the deductive reasoning, then how do you start off? You start off with a theory rather than from the observation. From theory, you go to the hypothesis, you propose your hypothesis. From hypothesis, you go to the observation level, and you do the confirmation with the help of the techniques and the tests that are available for you. And then you say that okay, I'm achieving this kind of a reality for myself. However, Popper says now, this kind of version which has been done earlier times, you should be able to stop it. Refute it. He says you have to go ahead and refute it. By what? By replacing induction with the falsification principle. So, what is this falsification principle that he has proposed? He says there is a demarcating line between science and non-sciences. Now, we know what sciences is. Sciences is very systematically done, and we go in and he gives you he gives you how you're supposed to do it also. And in non-science, we are not doing it all these things. So he says it suggests that for a theory to be scientific, that means for researchable, it must be able to be tested and conceivably proven false. So, first of all, take a theory, then you test it. After testing it, if you feel that yes, it has to be falsified, falsify it, and then go and give a new theory for them. So, here he says that, for example, the hypothesis that all swans are white can be falsified by observing a black swan. So for Popper, science should make an attempt to disprove a theory. Then only a new knowledge is going to come. Otherwise, no new knowledge is there for us. And then he moves ahead and he says that in the case of the non-sciences, it's a different thing because non-sciences works on a different way. And then he says that please, we are not supposed to do it. We are going to work on the scientific method with falsification as the criterion to distinguish scientific theory from the non-sciences. So he goes ahead and he gives these differences in the reasoning part. And after that, he says, we do not observe the universe at all times and at all places. What are we trying to do? If I'm in India, then within India, I'm in Delhi. So my area of research is only this much. I cannot think about doing the research for all these areas at all. So we are not justified, therefore. So can I, from here, that such a small sample size, can I go ahead and generalize and say that yes, this is my theory. So this is has to be, it is generalized. So this is almost correct one. No, this would be a wrong way. So he says a scientific theory should make predictions which can be tested and theory rejected if these predictions are shown to be not correct. Therefore, he says that we have to use what you call it as deductive reasoning. What is deductive reasoning? We talk about, we perform a survey. In the survey, there are certain questions. In these questions, there are certain sentences. Once you get the responses from the respondents, what do? You convert them into what you call it as statements. Once you have converted them into statements, you know that these statements are either true or false. So now slowly you can see how close we are to the realm of the knowledge. Once you have proved true and false, then you can go ahead, build the arguments. Now, there are certain rules and certain things are there. From these arguments, you can say that knowledge that is arriving is basically valid and sound one. Therefore, my conclusion is coming out like this. This is what they want you to do it. Now, here, when you present out the arguments and everything, you are even trying to test them, test and find it out. Now he's telling you this is what you call it as critical rationalism or what you call it as critical realism. And we will study more tomorrow as to what we mean by critical realism in true terms. So Popper gives an example. Europeans for thousands of years had observed millions of white swans. And using the inductive evidence, they said that all swans are white in color. However, when Australasian country individuals, went away, and then they said that no, there are black swans also. So what happened? The earlier thing that was present, that was completely refuted, and you said, okay, we do not know what the future is all about. Then till the time the black swans have been discovered. So Karl Popper was also critical, and he said that observe the world, that we are objectively observing the world. That means the subject is there, and the subject is observing the world in an objective manner. He says, stop this. This cannot be able to give. Popper argued that all observation is from a point of view. That means whose view? Subject's point of view. And indeed, all observation is colored by our understanding. That means subject is the one who is doing it depending upon their belief set. The whole thing is being derived. Yes. So he says that this is basically more of the theory laden kind of a thing. So he says this should not be followed. So he came up with another principle which is called as the falsification principle. So he says that here, no matter what happens, even you can observe, I don't know how many observations you can make. However, even if one observation comes, the entire thing can be falsified and you can go ahead with it. Therefore, he says that there has to be what you call it as a phenomena which is taking place continuously. So, for Popper, scientists should attempt to disapprove his or her theory rather than to prove it. So, do not try to prove it. You have to even see, can I go ahead and disapprove it? If you are able to do, then you are able to give a full explanation about what exactly is taking place. So here, when he is talking about, he has divided science from non-sciences, and then he said that, okay, that out here, by the characteristic use of observation and experimentation as opposed to purely logical analysis. So he says that there has to be another way in which we can do it, and that is rather than observation and experiment, we can even do it with either purely logical analysis or not. So when he was saying that all these things taking place, he made the logical procedures to be held in place, which unfortunately, I mean, in India, I haven't seen many of them giving these logical procedures unless and until there are very serious ones who are talking in terms of logical positivism, interpretivism, and then they carry ahead with the research part of it. So here you will be seeing that yes, a lot of things had been taken up. That means initially, whenever the I should say the research was there, it was basically linear in position. He talks about that also, and he says that do not ever talk about the linear, because there are existences of the non-linear data also, and one should be able to proceed further into that manner. And that's why he says that Newton, he gives these examples. Newton's gravitational theory was falsified by observations of the moon's orbit, how moon was moving, and what happened due to moon's gravitational pull on earth also. So they said that what Newton has said was completely wrong, and we came across with what somebody else has to say. Let's say a Newton, and then we had Einstein. Now, between these two people also, there were other people who came up, and he said that this is what is taking place. So you will see that the major critiques of Karl Popper, like you have got Thomas Kuhn, Paul Feyerabend, and Imre Lakatos, they rejected that there exists a single method of doing your research work. And therefore, quantitative is not the only one that we need to focus upon. There has to be another methods also to know the reality. Therefore, Kuhn came up with what you call it as a paradigm shift, and he discusses about these ones. So I think this part of it I will start off from tomorrow for all of us, and I'm going to stop till here only. And tomorrow when we are there, because I'm not going to entertain the first 15, I'll be very serious with them, and I will tell them to just cut short the discussions, and whatever doubts are there, that would be taken up later on. And then I can devote that extra time for all of you for this particular session also side by side. So I think I'm going to stop till here. And in case if there are certain questions, you can ask me immediately. Sanjay is asking me. Oh, Sanjay, I think you are the only one who is asking me, nobody else. Now, ma'am, Numena is a sensory journey through which we know something for the first time from the second time, brain, mind, memory. Yes, absolutely right. Numena is purely sensory in that way, Sanjay, and we do not introduce no memory, no rememberingness, nothing. It has to be purely sensory thing only. Maybe tomorrow I will be taking up a deep understanding about Numena, giving you the understanding as to what exactly is happening at the pneumatic level, and then you will be able to understand. However, you have caught hold of it very nicely, saying that yes, Numena is purely sensory journey through which we can come to know, and there is so much that they have written about this sensory journey only, especially in the Eastern things. And that's why, yes, then only it is pure. Even if little bit of tinctures are there of the memory or brain, you are gone. And then we cannot even think about it as a pure sensory experience part of it, basically. Yes, you're absolutely correct in that manner. Any other question from Sanjana or Vaishali or Mayank till here? So I think they are not there. They are into the bed, nicely sleeping. Okay. And then we will take care of it tomorrow, Sanjay. Then I'll be joining up, most probably morning session. I might be shifting it, and I'll be combining 10 to 12 and 12:30 to 2:30 into one only tomorrow. I will place it, and now you can give the attendance for this particular group also. So Sanjay, you can give yours first of all, and then I will go ahead and I will enter for Vaishali. She is Vaishali. Okay, no, I have to put it like this. Vaishali is there, then Sanjana, and then I have Mayank. So I think in that way, I will just take it up and then we can proceed further from there. Okay, Sanjay. So thank you for joining me up, Sanjay. I think you and me are the only ones who are awake. Let us see. And then we will take up. And tomorrow I would be again seeing you all